Alright, hello guys, welcome to the new edition of this particular YouTube channel, Mr. Adiayobet. Alright, so in this particular video, I'm going to show you guys the step-to-step guide on how to make use of SofaScore to predict basketball first half or first quarter. Actually, when it comes to basketball betting prediction, or before I move on, I want to inform you guys that we are going to focus only on USA NBA basketball leagues for now. So this particular video is made because of the request of this particular viewer. So in case you have any strategies that you want us to look into, kindly make sure that you are dropping it in the comment section. And also, in case you want to join any of our group, you can actually click on the video description or in the comment section. You are going to find our group links there. Alright, so when it comes to basketball, there is nothing special when it comes to predicting basketball games. It just deals with observation and testing of these particular things or facts that you've observed in that particular previous games in the leagues that you want to focus on. So in this particular video, we are focusing on the USA NBA League. So first, many people always think that maybe in basketball there are some tricks or maybe there are some hidden strategies in it. Actually, when it comes to strategy, it depends on how you define it yourself. Actually, for me personally, I have a particular method I do use for predicting basketball over points for individual, total, first half, first quarter, and so many more like that. I use calculation of getting the average point using stats and considering some behavioral factors. But this particular strategy that I'm going to teach you guys, it will be very easy for you to pick 10 odds, but I'm not assuring you guys 100%, but I'm assuring you guys 95 or 90% accuracy based on this particular betting strategy. So if you are watching, just make sure that you watch from the beginning to the end so that you won't miss any important information regarding to this particular strategy. So now I told you guys that we are looking into basketball NBA, and that is from the USA aspect. So we are going to look into some of their last previous games, and I'm going to even look at some of the games that ended up with a very small point, because if you look at last previous games like this, at least looking at the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the last 7 games, because we don't have enough time to evaluate or check the last previous games that they've played, and because if we are to check everything all at once, it will take a lot of time. And I'm assuring you guys, when it comes to predicting first quarter or first half, you are surely going to be getting very big odds from that, at least odds ranging from 1.4, 1.5, and 1.6, with the fact that with just single game you can actually derive your sure odd using this particular strategy. So if you are to look at some of the risk odd that I drop on this particular channel, which happens to be our Telegram channel, I dropped some games there. Even though this particular game first half, they are showing us odd of 1.37, and I'm still going to show you guys some of the games that has maybe for example, this particular one, it shows how easy you can get big odds from basketball. So just make sure that you find somewhere to sit and you focus on this particular video very well. So now, basketball, there's nothing special in basketball because it deals with figures, points that they score every time, like based on time and seconds. Anything can happen in basketball, but most times I rely mostly on the trends, like their previous data, their last previous games, last previous meetings. But when it comes to using SofaScore, there is a way that this particular app will already help you to evaluate, though it is actually different to my own personal individual basketball total point over, because in that one I only focus on the last 5 games. But let us look at this particular game here, Lakers against Spurs. So if you have to look at this particular using SofaScore and looking into some of the data that SofaScore will provide for you, they mostly focus on the last 10 games. So this is what makes it to be different to the one I use personally, because for me, I use when I'm doing my analysis manually, I only look into last 5 games, and there are steps and there are procedures that I take before concluding on what to predict on it. But when we are talking about using of SofaScore, you don't need to stress yourself. You don't need to just stress. It's a very easy and fast strategy. Just look into this particular aspect, that is, uh if you happen to be someone that is familiar with SofaScore, you can actually go like this. Let us check new games that they haven't played. You can actually just click on it like this, go to games. So from these particular games, they are going to list out some facts. So these particular facts are what you just need to look into, like the team streaks. The team streaks, first half, maybe probably this particular team, the away team, they had 5/5 wins at least. And first loser, it shows that they are probably insinuating that the home team is going to lose at the first half. So we had the first quarter winner the away, first quarter loser the home team. So looking at their last 10 games here, that is evaluating their average point. Okay, they said the home team had 108, the away team had 119, and average game total, that is most of their games, what total point does it always end at? Maybe probably 224, and this is at 243. And so when you go down, you are going to see their head-to-head streak, whereby they will also give you some data on it. But this is what I always do when it comes to this particular aspect. But I decided not to be using this particular method for a while based on some reasons. If you look at this particular strategy very well, you are going to notice that there is nothing special when it comes to basketball game predictions. Now, looking at this particular average point for the home team and for the away team, they said that the home team average game total, maybe in the last 10 games, is 224, and for the away team is 243. Okay, so now if you guys check their head-to-head average game total point, you are going to see that they are at 231 in this particular one. So among these three average points, which one is the smallest? Now we have 231 in their head-to-head, and we have 224 for the home team, and we add 243 in for the away team. Now the smallest that we are going to pick is just the home team, which happens to be 224. And for we to have 224, I'm going to divide this by 2. Okay, dividing 224 by 2, already we are having 112, right? Now just minus 112 minus 10, you're having 102. This process, there's nothing special in it, to be sincere with you, because if you are to look at it, what you just need to do is the purpose of taking these particular steps is just to get something that we have let me just say a reasonable figures that will be around the range of the odds, probable odds that the bookmakers will provide. Let's see if the bookmakers are going to provide this particular market, because this particular method that I just showed you guys, we are going to check it in the last previous games that they've played in the NBA league. So if you are following this particular gist, we are going to apply this particular method to check some of the last previous games that they've played here, even with games that ended up with a very low point. For example, this particular match that ended up as 112 and 97, and we have another one here that ended up as 97 and 111. So dividing this by 2 will make it very easy for us to predict our first half or first quarter. But most times, for the person that requested for the first quarter total point, I will just advise you that in case you want to predict first quarter, go for individual team. If you check most of my tickets very well, if you check some of our private circle tips very well, which happens to be our VIP group tip very well, if you check it and if you are seeing me predicting maybe individual total points, like this. Let me look at one. Okay, okay, this is first half. Let's look at, let us go and let's look at, maybe we have, or it's like I don't have maybe a first quarter prediction. Most of it are mostly most of it are first half, not first quarter, because I don't actually really like playing the first quarter alone. I prefer first half. So but in case you want to predict first quarter, what you just need to do is just to divide the first half point that you've gotten. Alright, so now let us look at it if the bookmakers are going to provide this particular market for us, which happens to be over 102.5 for the first half of this particular match. Alright, so unfortunately, I thought of 1.44 odd. The bookmakers are only providing the odd line of 114, and this shows that you should avoid this particular game. But let us check another bet platforms that we have, and let's see if the bookmakers there are going to provide the market for that. All right, so we are looking at this particular game. So let us check the first half. So the first half, unfortunately, these bookmakers today are not providing the odd line that we want. They are currently providing over 109.5. So the best thing that you just need to do in this particular situation is just for you to avoid the game. But in order not to waste much of our time, I want to validate this particular process for you. Even though if those teams are going to play a very low point in that particular match, at least they will still scale through this particular process. So if you can't do much analysis, so I'm just going to show you guys in the last previous games, even though games that ended up with a very low point. For example, in this particular match, so these are the data that they provided, and we have the average total point for the home team, which happens to be 223, and we have the average total point for the away team, which happens to be 252. And looking at their head-to-head average total points, we have 229. Now if we go and check the smallest one, which happens to be 223, and divide it by 2, we are currently having 111.5. Before, it depends on how safe you want your games to be. Sometimes I do apply 5 minus 5, sometimes I do apply minus 10. If you are applying minus 5, that means you are desperate to get probably an odds, at least, because sometimes it may be very difficult for the bookmakers to provide the odd line that will be very close to the accurate results. So let's say you are going for minus uh minus 5 from the 111 that we've gotten, so we are getting 106. Okay, now if you are not using 5 and you are using 10, definitely you are getting 101. Now let us check the result of the first half of the game, and let's see if we are able to get over 101 or over 106. All right, so this happens to be the first half of the game, and this happens to be the first quarter. That is, the quarter one is the first quarter. So depends on how you want to take the risk. Predicting only first quarter seems to be more risky compared to predicting the first half. So bro that is requesting the strategy for the first quarter, the strategy is just that when you get your first half, just divide it by 2 and predict your game. But it is very risky to focus only on the first quarter, because sometimes they can play a low point in the first quarter and play high point in the second quarter. And in some situations, we've seen some games that in the first half, the entire first half, they play low points, and sometimes they play high points in the first half. So when it comes to basketball, things are not always balanced when it comes to between predicting those quarters. So be very careful with that. So we said 106 if you are subtracting 5 from it. The purpose of subtracting 5 points from it is just to justify that at least you've tried your best in predicting that particular game. Are you guys getting it? So when it comes to predicting over points, subtracting a certain figure from it shows that you've tried your best in predicting the over point of that particular game. Now we have 106 or 101 to predict as the first half of this game. Now let us add up the total point that they had in the first quarter and the second quarter together. So I'll be adding 32, 33, 22 and 29 all together. So adding all these four figures together, we are able to get 116. So if you are subtracting 5 from that average point that we've gotten, you would have won the game. If you are subtracting 10 from it, you would have won the game. And if you are not subtracting anything from it, you would have won the game. But the subtraction of figures from this particular average point is for the purpose of getting accurate and safe bets. Alright, so now let us look at the next game here that we have. They played 105 and 114, but let me just look into some games that has a lower point, because I can see this is something very close to 219. Let's look at this particular game that ended up as 97 and 111. But before we go that, let me look at this. So Warriors versus Nuggets, they played 105 and 114 and are going to their to the data provided by SofaScore. From the data of this particular SofaScore app, we have the home team having average of 228, the away team having average of 243, and in their head to head they had 229. So the smallest happens to be 228. The smallest average point that they had for the home team, for the away team, and from their head to head, which is 228. Alright, so now let us divide 228 divided by 2, and we have 114, right? So now let us minus 5. Let's say you want to minus 5 from this 114, or you want to minus 10. So we have 109 if you are minusing 5, and if you are minusing 10, you have 104. Now let us check what the bookmakers are providing. So 109 if you are subtracting 5, and 104 if you are subtracting 10. Now let us check the game and let's see what we have. Alright, so this is the first half of the game. This is how the game ended up, Abi. So we have 22, we have 28, we have 29 and 33. So adding all these four figures together, we are able to get what? 112. So that is the purpose of subtracting those figures that I mentioned. Either you subtract 5 or you subtract 10. At least is for the safety of this particular of your predictions. So if you didn't subtract any figures from it, it doesn't mean, but except it depends on how you want to risk the game. So if you subtract 5 from it, you would have won the game, as the game ended up as 112 for the first half. And if you subtracted 10 from it, you would have also won the game. So now the next game that we want to look into happens to be a game that ended up with a very low point. And this is where you are going to notice that subtracting 10 from the average point that you've gotten will really save you a lot. Alright, so let us look at this particular game that ended up as 97 and 111. In this kind of game, most times people used to lose their game depending on the odd line that the bookmakers are providing. But let us look at it. So we check the games. The average points for the home team okay, I think in this particular situation they are only providing just the combined average game total for both home and away, which happens to be 238. Okay, and for for their head to head, the average game total here is 208. All right, so between the two we already have the smallest one, which happens to be the 208. So this 208 is what we are going to divide by 2. We are having 104 after dividing this by 2, right? Alright, so now we are going to check if this particular game first half will end up as over 99, because if you are subtracting 5 from 104, you should be getting 99, right? Let us check the first half if the game ended up in 99 in first half. That is, if you are subtracting 5. But if you are subtracting 10 from it, you should be getting something like over 94 in first half. So we have the first half of the game like this. Even though this particular match total point ended up in 97 and 111, that is a very low point, right? So let us check the first half if it actually ended up in over 94 or over 99. Alright, so adding all the figures together, we are able to get 107, which actually means that this game would have won it if you actually follow these particular steps. So definitely, if you subtract 5 from it and get 99, and you predicted it as first half over 99, you would have won the game. And if you predicted it after subtracting 10 from it, you would have also won the game. Alright, so if you find this particular strategy very helpful, and if you find it very educative, kindly make sure that you like this particular video. Drop your comments in case you have any question, and also in case if you want to join our if you really want to join on our WhatsApp private circle group, you are going to find the group link in the video description, whereby we give you accurate basketball prediction games and sometimes football, depending on the availability of match that we have in a day. So in case you want to join us, you can actually access the group link in the video description and also in the comment section for daily basketball tips. See you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe if you are just coming in contact with this particular YouTube channel. Bye.